Rain was soft that morning, like the sky was mourning too. From the gates of the Yoon Ha-rin Group headquarters to the private cemetery on Namsan Hill, Seoul was covered in a somber gray mist. Black umbrellas lined the marble path. The air smelled faintly of chrysanthemums and wet earth. Reporters gathered by the gates, their voices hushed by security men in black suits. Every major network in the country was there, because when a man like Han Jun-suk died, the world watched. Inside the funeral hall, the atmosphere was heavy, almost theatrical. At the center stood a framed portrait of the late CEO's stern eyes, confident smile, a man who built an empire from nothing. Beneath the photo, white lilies and chrysanthemums surrounded a single black ribbon. CEO Minna, his widow, stood in silence before the altar. Her black hanbok was perfectly tailored, her expression unreadable. She had not shed a single tear since her husband's death, at least not in public. Some whispered that she was made of ice. Others said she had always been the real power behind Yoon Ha-rin Group. Her daughter Han Soo-jin stood beside her, eyes red and swollen. She was 26, freshly returned from studying in London. Her father's sudden heart attack had pulled her back into a world she tried to escape, the cold, cutthroat world of Korean conglomerates. "Mother," Soo-jin whispered. "Are you okay?" Minna's eyes never left the portrait. "This is not the time to show weakness," she said softly. "The board is watching." Across the room, the board of directors stood in a silent cluster. Kang Dae-hyun, the COO, Chairman Attorney Lee, the old family friend, and Lee Jae-hoon, the family lawyer. They spoke in low tones, glancing toward Minna every few seconds. "She's calm," Dae-hyun murmured. "Too calm." Jae-hoon sighed. "CEO Minna doesn't break. That's why Jun-suk trusted her with the company." Dae-hyun's lips twitched in a half-smile. "Trusted? He kept too many secrets from her. We all know that." Just then the hall doors creaked open. Every head turned. A woman stepped inside, her black heels echoing sharply against the marble floor. She was beautiful, strikingly so, with long dark hair, crimson lips, and a small silver brooch shaped like a crescent moon pinned to her dress. Her name was Yoon Ha-rin. The whispers began almost immediately. "Isn't that the PR director who left last year? Why is she here?" Ha-rin walked straight to the altar, stopping a few feet from Minna. Her gaze was steady, respectful, but there was something electric in the air between them, a quiet defiance. Minna turned her head slowly. "You shouldn't be here." Ha-rin bowed slightly. "I came to pay my respects. After all, I was close to Jun-suk SSI." The word close hung in the air like a knife. Soo-jin stiffened. "Who are you?" she demanded. Ha-rin smiled faintly. "Someone who cared about your father very much." Gasps rippled through the hall. Even the reporters outside seemed to sense that something had shifted. The tension was visible, fragile, about to snap. Minna's voice was sharp. "Security." Before the guards could move, Ha-rin reached into her clutch and pulled out a thin white envelope. "Before you throw me out," she said, "you might want to see this." The room went utterly silent. Ha-rin placed the envelope on the altar, directly beneath the late CEO's portrait. Her voice was calm but heavy with purpose. "In that envelope," she said, "is legal documentation of my ownership of 40% of Yoon Ha-rin Group shares, transferred to me by the late Han Jun-suk before his death." The shock was instant. People froze. Cameras clicked. Somewhere in the corner, a vase shattered. Minna blinked once, just once, but her face remained composed. "This is ridiculous," she said quietly. "You're lying." "I'm not." Ha-rin's gaze didn't waver. Jun-suk made sure of that. She reached again into her bag, this time producing a slim black USB drive. "And if the board wants proof," she said, holding it up, "I have a video recorded by Jun-suk himself, explaining everything." For a moment, even the sound of rain outside disappeared. Minna's hand trembled slightly, though she hid it by clasping her fingers together. Dae-hyun stepped forward, frowning. "Miss Yoon," he said carefully, "this isn't the place." "Then tell me where it is," Ha-rin snapped. "Because I've been silent long enough. I was promised security, love, and a future. Instead, I was erased the moment he died." Her eyes flicked to Minna. "But he left something for me. Something he didn't want you to control." The widow's lips curved in a small, icy smile. You think a man like Jun-suk would give away 40% of his company to his mistress? Don't delude yourself. Harin's expression softened into something darker. Pity, almost. You of all people should know how far Jun-suk's guilt could take him. Soo-jin turned to her mother. Mother, what is she talking about? Minna didn't answer. Her nails dug into her palm until her knuckles turned white. Harin turned to leave but stopped at the doorway. You have 24 hours, she said, her voice calm but deadly. After that, the video goes public. She looked back once more directly at Minna. He said you tried to destroy me. But he also said, you destroy yourself first. And with that she walked out, her heels echoing like gunshots. After she left, chaos erupted. The board members murmured in panic, phones buzzed, reporters surged forward. Cameras flashed. The illusion of peace was gone. Minna stood perfectly still, staring at the altar. Her husband's portrait seemed to mock her. That same confident smile, frozen in eternity. Jae-hoon approached quietly. Madam, what do you want us to do? Minna didn't answer right away. Her voice when it came was low and deadly. Find that woman, she said. And make sure she never speaks again. Night fell over Seoul, glittering and cold. The glass tower of Yoon Harin Group stood like a monument of ambition against the skyline. Every floor still lit, even past midnight. Inside the top boardroom, a storm brewed far darker than the one outside. Seo Minna stood at the head of the long mahogany table. Her presence commanded silence. The air hummed with quiet panic. The executives looked anywhere but at her eyes. 40%, said Kang Dae-hyun, the COO, finally breaking the tension. If what she claims is true, that gives her controlling leverage with your shares combined. She could force a vote. She's bluffing, Minna replied coldly. Jun-suk was not a fool. Nor was he loyal, Dae-hyun murmured. Her eyes snapped toward him. What did you say? He held up his hands. I only mean the man had his secrets. We all knew that. He held up his hands. I only mean the man had his secrets. We all knew that. Lee Jae-hoon, the family lawyer, cleared his throat. Madam, the media's already picking up rumors about Yoon Harin's claim. They're calling her the shadow shareholder. The board's credibility is at risk. Minna turned toward the floor-to-ceiling windows, watching the city lights shimmer like broken glass. Let them talk, she said softly. Tomorrow I'll end this. Meanwhile, across the Han River, in a modest apartment filled with half-unpacked boxes and old photographs, Yoon Harin sat before her laptop. The glow of the screen reflected in her tired eyes. On the table lay a glass of untouched wine and a folder labeled Yoon Harin Holdings. Confidential. She clicked play. The video began with static, then cleared. Han Jun-suk appeared on the screen, sitting in his office. He looked different, tired, older, softer somehow. He spoke in Korean, his tone low and deliberate. If you're watching this, Harin, it means I'm gone. And if I'm gone, Minna will come for you. Harin's fingers trembled slightly, but she didn't stop the playback. You know why I did this. You saw what the board was planning, the offshore accounts, the falsified ledgers, the black money from the Daesung project. I signed over 40% of Yoon Harin Group to you because it's the only way to protect what's left. If the truth comes out, they'll burn everything, including you. Use this, Harin. Don't trust anyone. The video ended abruptly. A digital ghost fading into black. Harin closed her eyes. For a moment she allowed herself to breathe. But her peace was short-lived, her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You think you're safe? You've just declared war. Harin stared at the message, then typed a reply with shaking hands. Then I'll fight. The next morning the boardroom was a battlefield. Every seat was filled. The press had been banned, but the tension was so thick it might as well have been televised. Minna entered last, in a charcoal suit that screamed power. She took her seat at the head without a word. Harin arrived minutes later, escorted by two men from her legal team. The black USB drive glinted like a loaded weapon in her hand. Miss Yoon, Chairman Attorney Lee said, his tone polite but wary. You requested an audience with the board. Proceed. Harin bowed slightly. Thank you, Chairman. I have come to confirm my legal ownership of 40% of Yoon Harin Group. Shares transferred to me by the late CEO, Han Jun-suk. Under the document you've all received copies of this morning. Dae-hyun slammed his pen on the table. Forgery. There's no way. Then let's hear from the dead. Ha-rin cut in, inserting the USB drive into the boardroom's projector. The room fell into silence as the screen flickered to life. There he was, Han Jun-suk, alive in pixels. His voice filled the room like a ghost's echo. To the board of Yoon Ha-rin Group, if this message reaches you, I'm no longer among you. I have made mistakes. Many. But the greatest of them was trusting those who claimed loyalty while bleeding the company dry. A murmur ran through the room. Dae-hyun's eyes flicked nervously to Minna. Yoon Ha-rin, the recording continued, helped uncover evidence of corruption tied to Daesung development. Evidence some of you tried to bury. In return, I granted her 40% of my shares, legally filed and notarized. She is to act as steward of the company's ethical restoration. The video paused for a second, and then, almost as if he'd foreseen the reaction, Jun-suk looked directly into the camera. And to my wife Minna, forgive me. You deserved the truth. But I fear you'd rather destroy it. The room froze. When the video ended, the silence was deafening. Minna's face was unreadable. Only her fingers gripping the edge of the table betrayed her fury. Chairman Attorney Lee exhaled slowly. This changes everything. Does it? Minna said, voice cold as winter. A video can be edited. A signature forged. We'll verify its authenticity. Ha-rin smiled thinly. You'll find it's real. The documents are with my lawyers, and if anything happens to me, they go straight to the Financial Crimes Unit. Dae-hyun slammed his hand on the table again. You think you can threaten us? No, Ha-rin said softly. I'm already doing it. The door burst open suddenly. A young assistant rushed in, pale-faced. Madam Seo, he gasped. The media, they have the story. Someone leaked the video online. It's trending nationwide. The executives erupted into panic. Phones buzzed. The world outside had just seen the board's corruption laid bare. Minna rose slowly. The calm in her eyes was terrifying. Who leaked it? She asked. No one answered. Ha-rin met her gaze across the table. Maybe your husband wanted everyone to know what really happened. Minna's lips curled into a small venomous smile. Then let's finish what he started. She turned to Dae-hyun. Prepare an emergency shareholder meeting. And get me the best digital forensic analyst in the country. If that video is fake, I'll prove it. If it's real. Her eyes locked on Ha-rin. Then I'll bury her with it. That evening, as the rain returned to Seoul, Minna stood alone in her late husband's office. The city lights shimmered through the glass walls like shattered stars. She opened his desk drawer and found beneath a stack of old papers a small black notebook. Her hands hesitated before opening it. Inside were notes, cryptic lines of numbers, and a name circled in red ink. Project Daesung. Her heart stopped. Kang Dae-hyun. For the first time, Minna felt a chill that wasn't from grief. Her husband hadn't just betrayed her. He had been silenced. And now, someone among them wanted to make sure the truth stayed buried forever. The morning after the scandal broke, the entire country was talking about Yoon Ha-rin Group. Television anchors spoke of hidden corruption and a mysterious mistress with evidence. Stock prices dipped 5% before noon. Investors demanded answers. Inside the glass tower of Yoon Ha-rin Group, Seo Minna moved through the chaos with the stillness of a queen at war. Her assistant trailed behind her, tablet in hand. Madam, 3 reporters from MBIN are waiting downstairs. Tell them to wait forever, she said without breaking stride. Summon the legal department. And Dae-hyun. Now. The elevator doors opened to the executive floor, her battlefield. Kang Dae-hyun was already waiting in her office, pacing. He looked exhausted, his tie loosened, his face pale. The leaked video had painted him as one of the corrupt insiders. Do you have any idea what this is doing to us? He barked. She's destroyed our credibility, Minna. The board is demanding a vote of confidence. If Ha-rin pushes for control, she could. Sit down, Minna said sharply. Dae-hyun froze mid-sentence. Something in her tone made him obey. She poured herself coffee, calm, deliberate. We don't panic, Dae-hyun. We calculate. He scoffed. Easy for you to say. You weren't named in the video. Minna placed her cup on the desk. You were. His eyes widened. You think I I think, she interrupted, that my husband left a clue before he died. He wrote your initials beside Project Dae-sung in his private journal. The color drained from his face. That's impossible. Minna leaned forward, eyes sharp as glass. Tell me what Dae-sung was, Dae-hyun. And tell me the truth, before I find it myself. He hesitated, then exhaled heavily. Fine. Dae-sung was a real estate project. Offshore funding, unregistered subsidiaries. We all benefited, including Jun-suk. But he got paranoid toward the end. Said someone was going to expose us. Someone did, Minna said. Harin. He nodded bitterly. She was the leak. Minna walked to the window, staring at the skyline. Then she's not just a mistress. She's a threat. Dae-hyun frowned. What do you want to do? Minna turned slowly. Her calm smile sent a chill down his spine. I want to remind her that in this world power isn't given. It's taken. That evening, Harin returned to her apartment to find the lights already on. Her heart stopped. She reached for her phone, but a voice came from the shadows. Don't bother. There's no signal here. She froze. Minna stepped into view, dressed in a long black coat, her expression poised, almost serene. How did you? Harin began. Keys are easy to duplicate, Minna said. Especially when your building's maintenance staff still works for my husband's company. Harin's jaw tightened. So this is intimidation now? No, Minna said softly. This is conversation. She walked around the room, glancing at framed photos, Harin with Jun-suk smiling, laughing. He brought you here often, didn't he? Harin's voice was firm. He loved me. Minna turned, her eyes cold. He used you. Maybe at first. But in the end, he trusted me more than he trusted you. That hit its mark. A flicker of emotion crossed Minna's face. Gone in an instant. You think he was honest with you? Minna said. He lied to everyone. To me. To you. To this entire company. Harin crossed her arms. Then maybe you should be thanking me for revealing who he really was. Minna smiled faintly. You didn't reveal him, Harin. You exposed yourself. Now every man in Seoul knows you as the mistress who sold her lover's corpse for power. Harin flinched but didn't step back. And yet, I still own 40% of your empire. Not for long, Minna murmured. She pulled an envelope from her coat and placed it on the table. Sign this. Transfer the shares back to the family. I'll ensure you're compensated. Handsomely. Harin opened it. The contract gleamed under the light. You think money will shut me up? No, Minna said quietly. But fear might. Harin met her gaze. Is that a threat? Minna smiled, soft and chilling. You decide. For a moment they stood in silence. Two women who had loved the same man, now circling each other like predators. Finally Minna turned to leave. You have until tomorrow, she said. Then I stopped being civil. As she reached the door, Harin spoke. You're not angry because of the company, she said. You're angry because deep down, you know he never loved you. Minna froze. The room seemed to hold its breath. Then without turning she said quietly, love is irrelevant. Power isn't. And she was gone. The next morning chaos erupted again. Every major paper carried new details about Project Dae-sung. Anonymous documents, internal memos, bank transfers, had been leaked to the press. The files implicated multiple executives, including Dae-hyun himself. He stormed into Minna's office, throwing a newspaper on her desk. Did you leak this? She didn't look up. Why would I sabotage my own company? Because it makes Harin look credible. It hurts me, not you. Minna closed her laptop slowly. You think too small, Dae-hyun. If the company bleeds, everyone bleeds. But when it's over, I'll be the one holding the tourniquet. He stared at her. You're insane. She smiled faintly. Insane people panic. I plan. At that moment her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She met with a journalist last night. The video isn't the only evidence she has. Minna's mind raced. Harin was escalating. She wasn't after revenge anymore. She wanted destruction. Get me Jae-hoon, she ordered. If Harin wants war, she'll have it. That night, Minna met Lee Jae-hoon, the lawyer, in a private bar downtown. The place was nearly empty, red lights, jazz music and expensive whiskey. You wanted to see me, he said, sliding into the seat across from her. I need leverage, Minho said simply. Something that ties Harin to the company illegally. Jae-hoon hesitated. You mean, fabricate something? I mean, she said softly, make her regret breathing. He sighed. You're asking me to commit perjury. I'm asking you to survive, Minho replied. If Yoon Harin falls, so do you. He was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly. There might be something. Before Jun-suk died, he told me to destroy certain files. I didn't. They show Harin received unreported payments through a foreign account. Minho's lips curved. Perfect. She leaned closer. Release them anonymously. Make it look like she's embezzling funds. Jae-hoon's eyes flickered with hesitation. And when she fights back? Minho's smile didn't reach her eyes. Then we destroy her reputation, and if necessary, her life. That night, as Seoul slept, an anonymous post appeared on an investor forum. Exclusive leak. Yoon Harin received illegal transfers from Yoon Harin Group prior to CEO Han Jun-suk's death. Within hours, it was everywhere. By morning, Harin's face was splashed across every screen in Korea. Not as a whistleblower, but as a thief. Harin's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Reporters, lawyers, anonymous threats. She threw it across the room, shattering it against the wall. She turned to her reflection, pale, furious. You wanted power, she whispered to herself. Now fight for it. At that moment, her laptop pinged with a new email. Subject line. You're not alone. He didn't die of a heart attack. Harin froze. Attached was a photo. A still frame from security footage inside Jun-suk's office the night he died. He wasn't alone. Another figure stood behind him, blurry, male but familiar. The timestamp read, 23:41, 1 hour before his death. Beneath the photo, a single line of text. You want the truth? Meet me tomorrow. S. Harin's pulse quickened. For the first time she realized she might not be fighting just Minho. She might be fighting the ghost of a murder. The air in the boardroom was thick with tension. The blinds were drawn, muting the morning light into gray streaks that matched the mood in the room. Every executive sat stiffly, hands folded, faces pale. The large portrait of CEO Han Jun-suk loomed above them, his cold eyes seeming to watch every move they made. At the head of the table sat CEO Minho, his widow, dressed in a black suit that hugged her frame with corporate precision. Her lipstick was blood red. A deliberate choice, perhaps, to look strong when the world expected her to break. Beside her sat Lee Jae-hoon, Han Jun-suk's longtime legal counsel. His fingers drummed nervously on the folder in front of him. Everyone noticed. Everyone knew he'd been avoiding this meeting. Minho's voice was calm but sharp. Attorney Lee, she said, her tone slicing through the silence. You requested this meeting. You said it was urgent. So speak. Attorney Lee looked around the table, at the CFO, the head of HR, the board secretary, and then finally at her. He swallowed hard. There's something you all deserve to know. Something that could change everything about Han Jun-suk's death, and about this company. A murmur rippled across the table. Minho leaned forward. Then stop wasting our time. Attorney Lee took a deep breath and opened the folder. Inside were printed screenshots, signed documents, and a USB drive. He pushed them toward Minho. Your husband didn't just leave behind a mistress, Attorney Lee began quietly. He left behind an agreement. What kind of agreement? An ownership transfer document. 40% of HanSeong Group, to Yoon Harin. The room erupted. The CFO nearly choked on his coffee. That's impossible. HanSeong is privately held. Only the board can. Attorney Lee raised a hand. It's not a formal share transfer. It's a binding trust agreement, drafted under Han Jun-suk's private authority. It gives her operational rights and access to certain overseas subsidiaries. I tried to talk him out of it, but he was obsessed with her. Minho's nails dug into her palm. You knew about this? And you said nothing. Attorney Lee's voice trembled. He made me sign a non-disclosure agreement. I thought it was just a personal matter. Until the day before his death. Everyone fell silent. Minho's eyes narrowed. What happened the day before he died? Attorney Lee hesitated, then took off his glasses. His eyes were red. He called me at 10 p.m. He sounded terrified. Said he was being followed. He asked me to come to his house the next morning. Said there was something he needed to hand over personally. But when I got there, he was already dead, Minho finished. Attorney Lee nodded. And the envelope he told me about, the one he said contained the company's real truth, was gone. The room went deathly still. The HR director, a woman named Kim Ji-yeon, whispered, "Do you think the mistress took it?" Minho shot her a look. "You think Yoon Ha-rin killed my husband?" "I didn't say that," Ji-yeon stammered. "But she's the only one who's gained from all this." Attorney Lee shook his head slowly. "No, you don't understand. That envelope didn't contain stock certificates or love letters. It contained video evidence. Evidence that could destroy HanTech Group and everyone sitting at this table." Every heartbeat seemed to echo. Minho's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "What kind of evidence?" Attorney Lee looked directly at her. Videos of board meetings, hidden recordings, conversations about bribery, offshore funds, and cover-ups. Things that could put all of us in prison. Gasps filled the room. Minho's face hardened. "You're lying." Attorney Lee pushed the USB drive across the table. "Then check for yourself. That's just a copy of one clip. The night Han Jun-seo confronted the board about the embezzlement from the Seoul Tower project. The CFO's face went white. That was years ago. It was settled. It was buried," Attorney Lee said flatly. "And Han Jun-seo found out. That's when he started recording everyone. I think he was planning to expose the entire board." Minho's eyes flickered with realization. Then the mistress. She's not just blackmailing the company for money. Attorney Lee nodded grimly. She's holding the evidence. And she knows exactly what it's worth. For a moment no one spoke. Then Minho rose from her chair, voice cold as marble. "Then we find her. Before she releases anything." She turned to the head of security. "Kang Dae-hyun, I want surveillance on Yoon Ha-rin 24 hours a day. If she has that video, I want it, no matter what it takes." Attorney Lee sighed, defeated. "Be careful, Mrs. Han. Your husband trusted her more than he ever trusted this company. If you push her too hard, she won't hesitate to burn everything, including you." Minho stopped at the door and looked back at him. "Then I'll make sure she burns first." The door slammed shut behind her, leaving only the soft hum of the air conditioner and the weight of what Attorney Lee had just confessed. Outside in the corridor, a young man in a black suit adjusted his earpiece, one of the company's internal security agents. He had been recording the entire meeting, and as he walked away, he murmured quietly into the mic, "She knows now. Send this to Yoon Ha-rin." At exactly 8:47 a.m. the next day, the first email hit the company's internal network. Subject: "The truth you've all been hiding." Attached were encrypted video clips, transcripts, and documents marked confidential. HanTech internal use only. Within 15 minutes, over 300 employees had seen it. Within 30, the files had spread beyond the company firewall. By 9:10 a.m., HanTech Group's name was trending on every major Korean news platform. "Turn that off," CEO Minho snapped, slamming her hand against the screen as the news anchor's voice filled the boardroom. Sources claim the leaked videos reveal evidence of embezzlement, political bribery, and internal manipulation within HanTech Group's top board members. Police investigations are expected to. "I said turn it off," she screamed again. The room fell silent. Only the soft buzz of the projector remained. CFO Young Woo-jin rubbed his temples. "This is bad, Madam Han. If the Financial Crimes Unit opens a probe, we'll lose every week." "Who had access to those files?" she demanded. Lee Jae-hoon looked pale. "Only the CEO and myself. But the system was breached last night. Whoever did this used internal clearance." Minho turned slowly, eyes like a blade. "Internal clearance? You mean someone in this room?" No one spoke, but every pair of eyes darted to someone else. Just then, the boardroom doors swung open. Kim Ji-yeon, head of HR, burst in, clutching a printed stack of papers. "They released the staff salary records too," she gasped. "Every executive bonus, offshore account, and private payout, it's all online." "God help us," Woo-jin whispered. Minho's hand trembled slightly, not from fear but from rage. Whoever did this wants the company to burn. Attorney Lee leaned forward. No, they want you to burn. This leak started with your husband's private archive. Only one other person could have had access. Minho froze. Yoon Ha-rin. Attorney Lee nodded. She's sending a message. The CFO, Mr. Woo-jin, slammed his fist on the table. Then we crush her. File a court injunction, freeze her accounts, make her disappear. Minho's glare stopped him mid-sentence. Do you think I haven't tried? She vanished 2 nights ago. Her apartment was empty. No trace on her phone. No credit card activity. It's like she planned this. A long silence followed. Then Attorney Lee spoke again, quietly. There's something worse. Look at this. He opened his laptop and played a video clip from the leaked files. It was grainy, timestamped 3 months before Han Jun-suk's death. In the video, CEO Han Jun-suk sat across from his wife Minho in his office. His voice was tired, broken. If the board finds out what we did, they'll destroy us both. You promised this was the only way. Minho. It was. You were too weak to make hard decisions, Han Jun-seo. I did what was necessary to protect this company. Han Jun-seo. You didn't protect it. You sold it. And now she knows. Minho. Who? Han Jun-seo. Yoon Ha-rin. The screen froze. Every eye in the room turned to Minho. She didn't blink. Her jaw tightened. That video is edited, she said coolly. You all know how easily footage can be manipulated. Woo-jin leaned back, expression unreadable. Even if it is, the damage is done. The media's calling you the Ice Widow. Investors are demanding a leadership review. She clenched her fists. No one removes me from this company. Not after everything I've built. Attorney Lee exhaled. Madam Han, you need to step down temporarily. Let the investigation play out. If you stay, it looks like you're hiding something. She turned to him slowly. You think I'll let the same people who betrayed my husband run this company? He met her gaze. You might not have a choice. Outside the boardroom, chaos rippled through every floor. Employees whispered in corners, shredders ran non-stop, and IT technicians tried to stop the bleeding. But it was too late. At 11:24 a.m., a new clip appeared online, one no one had seen before. This time it wasn't a board meeting. It was a hidden camera recording from a hotel room. The screen showed Han Jun-suk and Yoon Ha-rin together, laughing, whispering. Then Yoon Ha-rin's voice. You said your wife will never find out. Han Jun-seo. She already knows. That's why I'm leaving the company. I'm done with the lies. Yoon Ha-rin. Then promise me. If anything happens to you, I get my share. 40%, remember. Han Jun-seo. You'll have proof. And then a chilling silence. A knock on the door. The camera shook slightly. Han Jun-seo. She's here. The clip ended. By evening, reporters were outside Hanseong Tower. The stock price dropped 32%. Inside her office, Minho stood by the window, watching the flashing lights below. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You took everything from me. Now I'll take everything from you. H. Her grip on the phone tightened. Then, another message arrived. A video file. She hesitated, then pressed play. On the screen was a man's body, lying motionless on the floor of a penthouse suite. The timestamp. The night before Han Jun-suk's death. Minho gasped, her eyes wide. Because the person standing over his body was one of her own board members. The house was too quiet. Ever since her father's death, Han Soo-jin had avoided coming here. The old mansion in Hanamdong that smelled of cedarwood, rain, and memories she wanted to forget. But tonight she couldn't stay away. The news had broken her. Her father's company crumbling, her mother's reputation dragged through the mud, the leaked videos painting her family as monsters. She didn't know who to believe anymore. Was her mother capable of betrayal? Was her father truly the man everyone called a visionary, or just another liar? The storm outside cracked like an angry god. Lightning flashed across the framed photos in the hallway. Her father smiling beside foreign dignitaries, shaking hands with ministers, standing tall on the day Hanseong Group broke ground for its first tower. She touched the photo gently. Appa, what really happened to you? She whispered. She walked into his study, untouched since the funeral. The air was stale, thick with dust and secrets. His leather chair still faced the window, as though he might turn around any moment and greet her with that warm, tired smile he always wore when he came home late. Soo-jin turned on the desk lamp. The light revealed neat stacks of documents, pens aligned in perfect order, and a sleek black notebook lying just slightly off-center. Her pulse quickened. She recognized it immediately. Her father's handwriting on the spine. Personal. 2023 to 2024. A diary. But there was a problem. It was locked with a digital code. Soo-jin frowned. Of course you'd password protect your secrets, Appa. She stared at it for a long time thinking. Then she remembered. Her father always used birthdays as passcodes. She typed in her own 0410. Beep. Access denied. She tried again, this time her mother's 0721. Beep. Access denied. She sighed and sat back. You really didn't want anyone to find this, did you? Lightning flashed again, and her eyes caught something odd on the bookshelf behind the desk. A single photo frame slightly crooked, unlike the others. She stood, straightened it, and heard a soft click. A hidden compartment slid open in the wall. Inside was a small silver USB stick. Her heart pounded. She plugged it into her father's computer. A folder appeared. Diary_backup. The first file opened to a video log. Her father's face staring back at her. His eyes were sunken, his tone weary. Han Jun-suk recording 1 month before death. If you're watching this, it means the board has turned against me. Minho says it's just politics, but I know better. Someone is leaking our offshore accounts to the prosecutors, and it's not the government. It's her. Yoon Ha-rin. He coughed, ran a hand over his face. I loved her once. Foolishly. She made me feel alive again. Until I realized she wasn't after love. She wanted power. And when I refused to transfer the shares, she started threatening me. I think she's working with someone on the board. Someone close to Minho. Soo-jin froze. Her father's voice trembled. If I don't make it, don't trust anyone. Not the board. Not even your mother. She's hiding things too. The diary will tell you what the contracts don't. The video ended. Soo-jin sat motionless, tears pooling in her eyes. Her mother. Involved? She opened the second file. Text entries this time. March 2nd. They found out about the Seoul Tower bribes. I begged the board to come clean. Minho said we'd lose everything. I signed documents I shouldn't have. I'm complicit now. March 10th. Yoon Ha-rin recorded me. She says she'll leak everything if I don't give her 40% control. I've hidden backups. If anything happens to me, my daughter must find them. March 18th. Someone's been in my house. I changed the codes. Even Minho doesn't know the new one. Only Soo-jin would figure it out. 04100721. Our birthdays combined. If she's reading this, I'm sorry. Soo-jin's hand trembled as she typed the new passcode into the locked diary on the desk. Beep. Access granted. Inside, she found pages of handwritten notes, taped photos, and printed emails. At the center was one headline that made her blood run cold. Confidential transfer agreement, signed by Han Minho and board treasurer Oh Taek-jin. Below it, her father had written in bold red ink. They plan to remove me. The car accident wasn't an accident. If I die, look at the CCTV footage from Hanseong Tower, June 17, 11:45 p.m. She covered her mouth. June 17th. The night before his death. Her phone buzzed suddenly, making her jump. A message from an unknown number. If you found the diary, you're in danger too. They're watching you. Get out. H. Soo-jin's heart slammed against her ribs. She ran to the window and saw it. A black sedan attorney lead across the street. Windows tinted. Engine running. She froze. Then the driver's door opened. A man in a dark suit stepped out, phone to his ear. Her breath hitched. He was holding a Hanseong security badge. Soo-jin snapped the diary shut, grabbed the USB, and ran for the back exit. As she stepped into the rain, her father's words echoed in her head. Don't trust anyone. Not even your mother. And for the first time, she wondered if her father's death was not a business tragedy, but a family conspiracy. The night pressed heavy over Seoul, cloaking the city in anxious silence. Neon lights blinked through the fog like restless eyes watching, waiting. Inside a cheap motel on the outskirts of Mapogu, Soo-jin sat on the floor, her knees drawn to her chest. Her wet hair clung to her face, her breath shaky. She hadn't stopped running since she left her father's mansion. The USB stick lay on the bed beside her, the last piece of her father's truth. She had read the diary again and again, each word carving deeper into her heart. Betrayal, greed, murder. Her family wasn't a dynasty, it was a crime scene. She reached for her phone. No signal. She had tossed her SIM card hours ago. Still, paranoia lingered like static in her veins. Her father's voice echoed in her head. Don't trust anyone. But she had to trust someone. Her thoughts drifted to one name, Yoon, the woman everyone blamed. The woman who had destroyed her family, or maybe tried to save it. At that same moment, miles away in a high-rise penthouse overlooking the Han River, Yoon watched the chaos unfold on her laptop screen. The news channels were in frenzy. HanTech Group in crisis. New leaks suggest internal conspiracy. CEO's death under renewed investigation. She leaned back, sipping red wine, her dark hair cascading down one shoulder. On her desk lay a single flash drive, unmarked except for a hand-drawn crescent moon. Her expression was unreadable. Half guilt, half vengeance. Then her phone vibrated. A private message popped up on her encrypted app. Unknown ID. It's time. Send the tape. Yoon stared at the message, her hand hovering above the keyboard. No, she whispered. Not yet. But before she could respond, another notification flashed. This one from a hacker handle she didn't recognize. New file received. Blackmail. Her heart stopped. That wasn't from her. That was to her. She opened it hesitantly and froze. The screen showed a room, her old apartment. The camera was hidden behind a bookshelf. The timestamp read 2 weeks before Han Jun-suk's death. Her voice played softly from the speakers. If you don't tell her, I will. She deserves to know the truth. Then came Han Jun-suk's voice, low, urgent. You don't understand. Minna already knows. She helped plan it. You were never supposed to see the accounts. Yoon. You're lying. Han Junaseo. Check the offshore logs. The funds went straight to her name. She's buying silence. And if I expose her, she'll expose us. Then a door creaked open. Someone entered. The camera shook. A female voice, cold and calm. You should have deleted everything, Han Junaseo. Yoon gasped aloud. That voice, she knew it. Minna. The video cut abruptly. She stared at the black screen, trembling. This wasn't one of her recordings. This was something else. Something no one was supposed to see. Someone else had been watching them. Morning. At HanTech Tower, panic ruled the boardroom once again. Lee Jae-hoon rushed in, his phone clutched in his hand. Madam Han, we have a bigger problem. Seo Minna, perfectly poised as always, didn't look up from her laptop. What now? They've released another clip. Her eyes flickered up. From the leaks. No, ma'am, Attorney Lee said, voice grave. From inside your husband's private residence. It shows him, Yoon, and you. The room went dead silent. The projector lit up the far wall. The footage began. Han Jun-suk sat in a dimly lit room, his tie loosened, his expression weary. Across from him sat Yoon, teary-eyed, pleading. Yoon, just tell the board the truth. They'll forgive you. Han Jun-seo. No, they won't. They'll destroy you and Minna too. Yoon. Then why are you protecting her? Han Jun-seo. Because she wasn't the only one who took money. At that moment the door opened. Minna stepped inside, her face unreadable. Minna. Enough. This conversation ends now. Han Jun-seo. We can't keep covering it up, Minna. Minna. You don't have a choice. Han Jun-seo. And if I say no? Minna. Then you'll end up like the others who did. Then the sound of shattering glass. The camera jolted. Han Jun-suk's body slumped forward. A flash of red. The video cut to black. When the lights came back on, the room was silent. Every face turned toward Minna. Her hands were shaking, her lips bloodless. That video is fake, she said flatly. It's edited. Attorney Lee met her eyes. The forensics team confirmed the timestamp. That footage was real. And it came from a hidden security camera in your own home. Her heart pounded. Who? Who would even have access to that? Only your husband. Her composure broke for the first time. Because if Han Junaseo had recorded that night, it meant one thing. He knew he was going to die. Meanwhile, back at the motel, Soo-jin stared at her laptop as the same video played before her. She'd found it uploaded anonymously to a private channel. The same blackmail tape the world now watched in horror. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Her mother in the room. Her father dead. But something in the video didn't add up. She rewound it. At the moment of impact, right before the glass shattered, a shadow flickered in the corner of the frame. A man's reflection in the window. Tall. Broad shoulders. Wearing a board ID tag. It wasn't her mother who struck first. Soo-jin zoomed in, her hands trembling. The image was grainy, but she could make out the name on the badge. Oh-taek-jin. The board treasurer. Her father's final note in the diary flashed in her memory. They plan to remove me. Look at the CCTV from June 17th. Oh-taek-jin was there. Her pulse raced. And just as she realized what this meant, her laptop screen flickered. A new message appeared across the screen in red text. Stop digging, Soo-jin. Or you'll end up like your father. The lights in the motel flickered. The window shattered. And then darkness. Detective Han Junaseo had been with the Seoul Metropolitan Police for over 15 years. He'd seen corruption, murder, embezzlement, and the quiet rot behind corporate doors. But the HanTech case, this one was something else. It wasn't just about the dead CEO anymore. It was about what he'd left behind. The morning air was sharp with the promise of winter, as attorney lead in front of the towering HanTech headquarters. The glass facade reflected the city skyline like a perfect lie. He buttoned his coat, grabbed his file and walked in. Inside, tension was tangible. Employees spoke in hushed tones. Reporters loitered near the lobby, hoping for a statement about the leaked files that had sent the entire board into chaos. Took the elevator to the 38th floor, executive level. He'd been here 2 days earlier to question the executives. But now he had something new. Something that could change everything. In the boardroom, Minho stood at the head of the table, surrounded by men and women who had once bowed to his father. Now they looked at him with doubt, distrust, fear. Who leaked the documents? Barked Attorney Lee, the CFO. Do you understand what this means? HanTech's foreign partners are pulling out of the energy deal. It wasn't me, Minho replied calmly, though his pulse betrayed him. We're investigating the breach. Investigating? Scoffed another director. While the company burns? Soo-jin sat quietly in the corner, her eyes red from lack of sleep. She hadn't told anyone about her father's diary yet, not even Minho. She was still reading it piece by piece, discovering a side of her father that terrified her. When Detective O entered the room, conversation halted. Detective O, Minho greeted, masking his unease. You're here again. Yes. O dropped a thick envelope on the table. We've analyzed the blackmail footage. The one Miss Choi submitted as her evidence of ownership. You found something? Asked one of the board members. O nodded. Something very interesting. He opened the folder and slid a photograph across the table. It showed a man tall, bespectacled, installing a hidden camera in the late CEO's penthouse. Who is that? Soo-jin whispered. O's gaze was cold. HanTech is head of internal security. Mr. Kong Dae-hyun. The boardroom erupted. That's impossible. He's been with the company for years. He handled confidential information. He was loyal to your father. Minho raised a hand, silencing them. Where is he now? O's voice was flat. Missing. Since last night. A heavy silence fell over the room. He disappeared after receiving a wire transfer from an offshore account linked to the company's legal division. O's eyes flicked to Mrs. Han Yura, who had just entered the room. She looked flawless as always, dressed in a sleek black suit and dark sunglasses. Detective, she said coolly, you seem to be implying something. I'm not implying, Mrs. Han, O replied. I'm investigating. Her lips curved. Then I suggest you find facts instead of ghosts. But as she spoke, O noticed something, a tremor in her fingers, a fleeting sign of fear. That night, Detective O sat in his office, the city lights flickering through the blinds. He rewatched the leaked Blackmail tape, pausing at the reflection in the mirror behind the bed. For weeks, everyone had focused on the CEO and Miss Choi. But there, barely visible, was a blurred outline of someone else in the room. Someone filming. He enhanced the image. The reflection sharpened just enough to show a gold watch with a distinct logo. HanTech's board insignia. Oh leaned back, a slow smile creeping across his face. So it wasn't the mistress, he murmured. It was someone inside the board. The next morning he set the trap. He called an emergency meeting, claiming that new digital evidence from the National Cyber Bureau had identified the blackmailer. He asked the key board members to gather at HanTech's private lounge by 9 a.m. Minho and Soo-jin arrived first. Then came Mrs. Han, Attorney Lee, and two other executives. Oh placed a small black device on the table, a voice recorder. I want to hear your explanations, he said. Because the person who set up the camera in Mr. Han's penthouse is in this room. Silence. Then Attorney Lee laughed nervously. Detective, surely. Attorney Lee, oh interrupted. Do you still wear your HanTech board watch? The man froze. Oh pulled up a printed still frame from the video, showing the reflection with the same gold watch. You were in the room, Oh said. You recorded it. Attorney Lee's voice cracked. I didn't. I was only following orders. Whose orders? He hesitated. His gaze darted toward Mrs. Han. Before he could speak, the lights flickered, and the glass wall behind them exploded. A single shot rang out. Detective O dove for cover as chaos erupted. Attorney Lee fell forward, blood pooling beneath him. The shot had come from outside. Security alarms blared. Oh pulled Soo-jin down, shielding her from flying glass. When he looked up, Mrs. Han was gone. So was the recorder. Outside, in the dark alley behind HanTech Tower, Mrs. Han slipped into a waiting car. Her driver handed her a small charred USB. It's done, ma'am. She looked out the window as the sirens echoed in the distance. Not yet, she murmured. There's still one more person who needs to be silenced. The camera zoomed in on her face as she whispered a name. Choi Yoon-ha. Rain lashed the glass walls of the HanTech penthouse, tracing long silver streaks against the city's night lights. It had always been Jinwa's favorite place. A fortress above Seoul, where power and sin met in silence. But tonight, it felt like a tomb waiting to seal its last secret. Eun-ha stood by the window, her reflection pale and trembling in the glass. The firelight from the open hearth flickered behind her, throwing gold and crimson against her white silk blouse. On the table beside her lay a folder, the original ownership agreement signed by the late CEO Han Jin-woo. It bore his seal. And beneath it, a flash drive that held every file the company wanted to bury. She wasn't running anymore. She had spent weeks being hunted, by the board, by Mrs. Han, even by her own guilt. But now she was ready to burn everything. The elevator chimed. Eun-ha turned slowly. The door slid open and out stepped Mrs. Han Yura, elegant even in crisis, draped in black like a shadow that refused to fade. Still playing the martyr? Yura said softly, walking toward her. I suppose you think you're brave. I'm not brave, Eun-ha replied. I'm angry. Yura smiled, the kind of smile that had destroyed careers and charmed investors. You're not angry. You're jealous. You always were. That's what he liked about you, that hunger. Eun-ha's jaw tightened. Don't talk about him. Oh. Yura tilted her head. Why not? He belonged to me. He belonged to no one, Eun-ha snapped. He pitied you, Yura. You think he stayed because of love? He stayed because of guilt. For the first time, Yura's expression faltered. Eun-ha stepped closer. I was going to walk away. I had a new life planned. But then he died and you tried to erase me. You buried his truth with him. Yura's hand slipped into her coat pocket. You don't understand the game you're playing. That flash drive contains every offshore transaction, every shell company, every blackmail file you and the board used to cover his tracks, Eun-ha said. If I release it, HanTech is finished. Yura's fingers closed around the small pistol in her pocket. Then you'll go down with it. A long silence stretched between them, the hiss of rain outside, the hum of the city below, and the quiet crackle of the fire filling the space between two women bound by one dead man. Finally Eun-ha said, He loved me, Yura. That's something you'll never erase. Yura's eyes flashed. Then you can join him. She pulled the gun, but before she could fire, the elevator dinged again. Detective O burst in, gun drawn. Drop it, Mrs. Han. The sudden interruption startled her. The gun trembled in her grip. Do it and your empire dies with you, O warned. We already traced your offshore accounts, the same ones that paid Kang Dae-hyun. It's over. Yura's face hardened. You don't understand, detective. HanTech is not just a company. It's legacy. Power. My life. Oh, Unha whispered. Then watch it burn. She grabbed the flash drive and threw it into the fire. The plastic hissed and melted instantly. Yura screamed. No. She lunged forward, knocking Unha against the table. The gun went off. The chandelier shattered above them. The carpet caught fire. Flames licked up the curtains. Smoke began to pour into the room. Oh rushed forward trying to pull Yura back. But she fought him off, wild, desperate. She ruined everything, she cried. Everything Jinwoo built. Unha, clutching her side, pushed herself up. Blood darkened her blouse. No, she said faintly. He destroyed himself. You just helped. The heat intensified. The fire raced toward the liquor cabinet. And in seconds, boom. The penthouse exploded in a burst of flame and glass. When the fire brigade arrived 20 minutes later, the penthouse was unrecognizable. Detective O stumbled out with a burn on his arm, coughing hard. Behind him, paramedics carried a stretcher. Mrs. Han unconscious but alive. Another medic followed with a second stretcher. On it lay Unha motionless. Her hand still clutched a half-burned piece of paper, the last page of Jinwoo's diary. Oh knelt beside her and pried it gently from her fingers. The words were smudged, but still legible. If you are reading this, it means my sins have caught up with me. I built an empire on lies, and now those lies have found voices of their own. To my children, forgive me. To Yura, I am sorry. To Unha, you were the only truth I ever knew. Oh folded the note carefully, his throat tightening. It's over, he murmured. But somewhere deep inside, he knew, with all the corruption he'd seen, that nothing in Seoul's corporate world ever truly ended. It just changed hands. The next morning, the headlines blazed. HanTech Penthouse fire kills Seo's mistress, Seo's wife in critical condition. Police suspect foul play. Minho and Soo-jin stood together, watching the news from their father's study. The smoke still rose over the city like a warning. What do we do now? Soo-jin asked quietly. Minho looked down at the smoldering skyline, the ashes of the empire their father had built. We rebuild, he said. But this time we tell the truth. And as dawn broke over Seoul, the fire that had destroyed everything also cleansed what was left, burning the lies, leaving behind only the scarred, unflinching truth. A month had passed since the fire that gutted the HanTech penthouse. The building's upper floors still bore blackened scars, reminders of the empire that had burned with its secrets. Detective Oh Han-jun SEO stood on the rooftop of the Seoul Metropolitan Police headquarters, staring across the city. Below him, the streets buzzed as if nothing had happened, as if the scandal that once gripped the nation was already fading into rumor. But one question refused to die. Who killed Han Jun-suk? He had pored over every file, every transaction, every message from the late CEO's encrypted accounts. The diary had revealed many sins, but not the truth behind his death. The official story said, heart failure. Oh had never believed it. Now, after a month of digging, he finally had proof. Minho Han sat in the new HanTech boardroom. It was smaller than before, stripped of the gold and glass that had once symbolized power. The company was being rebuilt piece by piece under his leadership. Soo-jin had taken over corporate social responsibility, her way of redeeming the Han name. When Detective O entered, the siblings rose. You found something, didn't you? Minho asked. O nodded, dropping a folder on the table. Everything. The real story. He opened the file and revealed a photo, not of their father but of Attorney Lee, the former CFO who had been shot during the chaos. Before he died, O said, Attorney Lee sent an anonymous tip to a journalist. It was encrypted, but we managed to recover fragments. He said your father was about to expose a money laundering scheme involving several HanTech subsidiaries. Minho frowned. Expose? But he was the one approving those transactions. That's what everyone thought, Oh replied. But according to the recovered voice memo, he was being blackmailed. Someone inside the board forced him to sign off on fake contracts, under threat of leaking his affair with Miss Choi to the press. Soo-jin's eyes widened. So, he wasn't protecting her. He was protecting us. Oh nodded slowly. He planned to go public. He had already called a press conference for the following week, one that never happened. The night before, he met someone at the Penthouse. Mrs. Han, Minho said quietly. No, Oh said. Not her. She arrived later, after he was already dead. He pulled out another photo. A security still from the Penthouse elevator. The timestamp read 10:42 p.m., the night of Jun Suk's death. The figure in the image was clear Kang Dae-hyun, head of internal security. He poisoned your father's drink, Oh said. But he wasn't acting alone. His bank records show multiple offshore deposits, all from the same anonymous account that funded Mrs. Han's cover-up. Minho's throat went dry. Then who controlled the account? Detective O exhaled. Someone higher. Someone who benefited from silencing your father and removing both Mrs. Han and Eun-ha. He slid the final document across the table. A printed memo from the company's holding firm. The signature at the bottom made Soo-jin gasp. Vice Chairman Young Tae-min. Han Jun-suk's oldest friend. His university roommate. His business partner. The vice chairman orchestrated everything, Oh continued. The blackmail, the affair leaks, the offshore laundering. All to consolidate control of HanTech as foreign subsidiaries. When your father discovered the scale of it, he planned to confess. Young couldn't allow that. Soo-jin whispered. He killed him. Oh nodded. And framed the mistress for it, knowing Yura would destroy her in retaliation. One death triggered a chain of greed, guilt, and fire. Minho's hands clenched into fists. Where is Young now? Gone. Flew to Switzerland 2 nights ago. But Interpol has him on their radar. Minho looked out the window at the city skyline. The empire his father had built and died for was finally laid bare. Thank you, detective, he said quietly, for telling us what the truth cost. Oh gave a weary smile. Truth always costs. But lies cost more. Epilogue 6 months later. Spring returned to Seoul. The air smelled of renewal and redemption. HanTech had transformed. Gone were the secret accounts, the political donations, the shadow subsidiaries. Under Minho's leadership, the company focused on clean energy and social innovation. Investors called it a rebirth. At the rooftop garden, Soo-jin knelt to light a candle beside a small memorial plaque that read, Han Jun-suk, 1968 to 2024. The truth will always find its voice. Beside her, Minho placed a white lily. He made mistakes, he said. But maybe this was his way of making it right. Soo-jin smiled faintly. He wanted us to build something better. They stood in silence, the city lights reflecting in their eyes. Somewhere in the distance a church bell rang. And in the shadows below, Detective O watched from the street. He turned away, lighting a cigarette as he walked toward his car. His phone buzzed. A message from Interpol. Young Tae-min apprehended in Zurich. Extradition in progress. O smiled to himself, exhaling slowly. Rest easy now, Mr. Han. The throne is clean. He tossed the cigarette, watching its ember fade into the night. A single attorney Lee dying quietly in the wind.